Maat's gifts. Enter into the light of heart. To arrive in a present tense time and place. To find a reflection and an understanding that every action creates ripples. Honoring the Neteru. Calling on the Neteru of ancient Egyptian pantheon who have witnessed the changings of human endeavors for eons. May they encircle us with their protection in these times of deep change. Calling on Re, sun deity of light, may he illuminate the hearts of all humans to help us remember truth. Calling on Ptah, creator deity of the word, may he help us communicate truth. Calling on Neith, creator deity of all that is, may she show us how to weave a better tomorrow with the threads of truth. Calling on Jahute, creator deity of wisdom, may he help us remember our innate wisdom as he records what was, what is, and what will be into the cosmic records of truth. Calling on Set, deity of obstacle and challenge, may he have enough without demanding more, so that we may travel with tenderness and grace as we follow truth. Calling on Hathor, gentle cow deity of joy, may she help us remember to awaken to the beauty of this biosphere and to celebrate truth. Calling on Bast, cat deity of care and consideration, may she remind us to curl up in the sunshine and care for ourselves so that we may also care for truth. Calling on Anubis, jackal deity of the heartway, may he guide us forward and help us choose the choices that arise from truth. Calling on Sekhmet, lioness deity of fierce compassion, healing, and strength, may she help us walk with courage to honor and to protect truth. Calling on Maat, deity of truth and justice, harmony, natural law, balance, and reciprocity. She who is the foundation upon which we walk. May she help our hearts be as light as a feather so that we may know truth. Calling on those Neteru not named, may they help sweep from the foundation of Maat anything that does not serve our highest good and our truth. May it be so, may it be so, may it be so. Envision the birth of this solar system, with the sun bursting forth with its first rays as order in the form of a gravitational pull begins to bring our system into being. Ma'at is gravity. Envision this gravity pulling matter together into spheres further pulled into orbit around this shining sun ray. Ma'at is cycles and seasons. Envision a new elementally chaotic planet bursting with volcanic activity and severe weather patterns as the earth, water, fire, and air settle into their relations on this newly formed biosphere of becoming. Ma'at is systems of becoming. Envision as the perfect combination of heat and cold, pressure and gravity and elemental configurations come together with a spark of the divine as life finds its place on the world's stage, seeking to reproduce itself in a myriad of combinations and shapes, using time and space as its canvas. They say in the ancient texts that pigs come from pigs and wheat comes from wheat and not the other way around. Maat is life and death. Envision the totality of human interactions globally, how we organize ourselves, how we hold ourselves and others accountable, how we relate to one another. Maat is justice, reciprocity, and balance. There are a number of symbols that relate to Maat, and I just wanted to bring them forward in visual. The first I'll point to is here in the middle. It's the feather, the ostrich feather. And she has it upon her head. I have it here on my head, actually. And it's a feather that is equal on both sides. There's the vein that goes up, and then each little featherlet is equal, right? And when you hold that feather in a still room where you don't detect any currents, the featherlets will detect those currents of air, of energy. It's so sensitive this way. Next here, you'll see Anubis sitting upon this symbol that's like a rectangle with a little slant. This is the plinth. This is the foundation of Maat. And all over Egypt, you will see the gods sitting or standing upon Maat. Down here, there is the scales, where the heart is weighed against the feather. And above is the hieroglyphic symbol that the ancients used for the spiritual heart. They called it the Ab or Ib. It's hard to know. They didn't write the vowels in their language, so it's a guess for us if it's an A or an E. However, it's a B, and it's represented by the vase. And then down here, the wings of her arms outstretched. Here she holds two feathers with the feather, with all those feathers of Maat. So here are her symbols. Maat's becoming. Before time and space, it is said that there were four pairs of beings, the Ogdoad. They appeared in the hieroglyphs as male frogs and female snakes, which you can see here in the image. Amun and Amunet represented that which is hidden or unseen or in the air. Kuf and Kaufket, if I'm pronouncing their names wrong, I apologize to them. They represent the infinite darkness. Hu and Hauhet are infinite time and eternity. And Nun and Naunet are the primordial waters. It is from the Ogdoad, this swirling beginnings of essence, of nothing, of something that could be. It is from this formation of nothing to something that an egg of creation was birthed. This egg of creation can be seen as our precious planet. And as Amun-Re rose up out of the nothing and declared his light upon the mound of creation, there came the sunlight rising upon that first day. It was at that moment of Re's light casting out that Maat was born as his daughter, bringing order to the swirling becoming. Yet really, it is only through Maat's order that Re can actually become. Maat already lived within him in order to be brought unto creation. As Re represents the fiery force of the sun, it is the truth of Maat that holds together the balance and structure of cosmic law. Just love this image of the sun shining forth. My dedication to Maat truly began one day when I was standing in Karnak in front of this very statue that you see here. And there's a whole story. Some of you know the story. I'm not going to go into the story now. But she said to me in the way that she speaks to me, "You shall not bow to me, but stand next to me in service to Maat." And so it was, so it is, and so it shall be. It wasn't a request. It wasn't a demand. It simply was what was. You know, I just want to say Sekhmet is the guardian of truth, right? She watches out for truth. She guards Maat, cares for Maat. She's essential in ourselves to bring forward that Sekhmet nature so that we too guard truth, care for truth, be in service to truth. Because we serve Maat. This image is in Abydos. This is Seti, and he's holding Maat here. The ancient Egyptians expressed their relationship to natural or cosmic law through the Neteru. The Neteru are all the natural gods and goddesses of Egypt. In fact, the word Neteru morphed into the Coptic Christian language as Netcher, and that's their word for God. Even today, if you're in a Coptic church and you hear them praying, you'll hear them say Netcher, and that's God. And that word morphed over time into the word we have for nature, which brings it all the way back around to the Neteru, who are deities of nature, of natural law. The ancient ones knew that it was Maat who was responsible for the turnings of the cosmos, the interactions between people, and how one can live a good life. These Neteru are sometimes depicted standing upon a foundation that you saw earlier, because even the gods must stand upon truth in order to be. In the ancient times, all the children were born and grew knowing that their main reason for being was to serve Maat. And I think, as Normandy mentioned, upon coronation, when the pharaohs committed their divine duty, they were tasked with receiving Maat, caring for Maat, and returning to Maat when they no longer ruled, which is what this image is showing. Seti, receiving, caring, and then returning Maat in a good way. As we enter this time of the Maitreya, this collective enlightenment of the community Buddha, it is not any longer a time for a singular ruler, a pharaoh, the guru, but rather it's the time where we each take responsibility to receive Maat, to care for Maat, and to return Maat. It's essential that we receive, care, and return Maat as we received her, especially now, especially when things seem so out of balance. It really is up to each of us to find Maat in ourselves and to share Maat with others in order to overcome the malice, the ignorance, and the desperation. It requires the exponential power of the numbers of people who are awakening to this truth in cosmic law. They don't even have to know the name Maat to awaken to truth. It's more important than ever for us to find harmony. As Maat's ancient knowledge is brought forward into these present times, we can arrive knowing Maat as the sacred purpose of our life. We are here to serve Maat. We are here to serve truth. I see truth as a multifaceted gem in some ways. There is truth with the capital T, and that's the whole of the gem. But then there's all these facets, which is my truth, your truth, their truth, right? All the variations of truth. But really, Maat's truth is the whole of it. And none of us can really know what that whole is from our limited facets view. But I do know that we are here to serve truth. Imagine if all the rulers on our planet in this time vowed to receive, care, and return Maat. We'd have a very different world. May it be so. May it be so. May it be so. One of the essential parts of Maat's story is the weighing of the heart. And what we're looking at here, this is an image of the papyrus of Ani, and this is located in the British Museum in London. And here you see the supplicant, the one who has passed through the veils, being led by Anubis. Before, and I'll talk a little more about this in a moment, but before they get to the scales, the supplicant up here on the top has to go through and have a little conversation with 42 assessors, and we'll talk more about that. But once they get through all of that, then they get to the scales where the heart is weighed against the feather. And if the heart is lighter than the feather, then they're able to pass through to meet Osiris, which is what happens right outside the frame once you get to Tehuti or Thoth, and there he is about to meet Osiris. And you'll see on the scales that the vase, the Ab or Ib, is just a little bit lighter than the feather. Now, if that heart is not lighter than the feather, that beastie that's here, this is Amet. She is part hippo, part lion, and part crocodile. So 3 of the fiercest, hungriest beasties of the ancient world, all in one. And I think personally, she's a little misunderstood. They call her a demon goddess, but I think she's just hungry. I think that's all it is. And she takes care of gobbling up the souls of those whose heart are too heavy. The 42 assessors and the 42 negative confessions. So before someone would die, they would take time in their life to have a papyrus, such as the papyrus of Ani, and we're looking at a different section of it here now, to record their deeds, what they didn't do in their lifetime. I didn't do this, I didn't do that. You know, basically I was a good person. And then Anubis, as we saw before, I'll just hop up here, they arrive to a hall of 2 truths. 2 truths. And I ponder what that is. And I often think it's, you know, the truth, capital T, and a truth. Perhaps, maybe that's what the hall of 2 truths may be. And there they have to go before each of the 42 assessors. Now, these 42 assessors were minor deities who were like the mascot of the various nomes or counties of the ancient world. So there was 42 nomes and 42 mascots or minor deities. And the supplicant would go to the one, hail, whatever your name is. They wouldn't say that, they would know their name, or they'd have a little cheat sheet. Maybe they wrote it on their arm, hail, whatever. And they would then declare what they didn't do. Then that's why they're called the negative confessions, because they didn't do it. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. And all the way through, right? And here, I'm not going to read them all because there's 42 of them. But I have them here, and I'll get this slideshow to Mitch and Lori so that you can have access to it. But here are the 42 negative confessions from Ani. And they're specific to him. Many times, if you look up 42 negative confessions on the internet, they come up with his because they're the most broadly broadcast of the 42, but really every single person had their own 42 negative confessions. It wasn't like a set thing that was, this is what they are, and it has to be the same for everybody. It was different for every single person. And that was what their book of becoming, or the book of the Egyptian book of the dead, we call it today, was very much about the individual's life and their 42 negative confessions, so that when they arrived there on the other side of the veil, that they were ready to declare what they didn't do. So there's the first 21 of them and the second 21 of them to make a total of 42. What I think is very interesting about these is that they're very similar to other moral codes throughout time since then. I particularly have this image of Moses on the mound, right? Receiving the stone with the 10 commandments. I'm like, you know what? He just found a fragment of somebody's 42 negative confessions. There was only 10 on that particular fragment. I don't know if that's truth or not, but I like it as a truth, perhaps not the truth. And, you know, you shall not have any other gods. You shall not make for yourselves an idol. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord. You shall remember the Sabbath, et cetera, right? The Eightfold Path of Buddhism, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, right view, right resolve. These are all very similar to some of the 42 negative confessions that people would have written in the day. Hinduism, again, truth, nonviolence, celibacy, non-adultery, not stealing, don't be corrupt, be clean, you know, have contentment, etc. And the Quran says, say to them, O Muhammad, come, let me recite what your Lord has laid down to you. that you associate nothing with him, that you do good to your parents, and do not slay your children out of fear of poverty. We provide you and will likewise provide them with sustenance, and do not even draw to things shameful, be they open or secret, and do not slay the soul sanctified by Allah except in just cause. And he has enjoined upon you so that you may understand, and etc. I'm not going to take the time to read through all of it, but there are these threads of the 42 moral codes that weave through humanity, through time. And a moral code is defined as a written, formal, and consistent set of rules prescribing righteous behavior, accompanied by a person or a group of people. And so we have these moral codes that, regardless of the religion or the brand, the religious brand that it is, that humans have decided are important, right? To live a good life, to be a good human, so that when we do cross through that veil, we do so having lived a good life. So as I've been studying and walking and learning about Maat, since Sekhmet said, you shall not bow to me, but stand next to me in service. Like, well, if I'm going to stand next to her in service, I have to understand what I'm in service to. And so I learned these various things. I did lots of research. I did lots of reading. And what I kept coming back to is that I don't want negative confessions when I'm dead. I want to say what is true now. I want to create 42 declarations that are positive, that help become my roadmap. So I know what's important to me. And I've written here my 42 that I've written out. And I encourage each of you to take some time in your life to create 42 declarations of what it is to be human, what it is that you want your life to be, whether your life is another day, another month, another year, another 10 years or more, that you have a roadmap to follow, right? Because creating these 42 declarations help us evaluate our life. And through that evaluation, we can create these vows. And then we can agree to live with these vows. And I've found that if I'm traveling down my road and there's a vow that I keep breaking, it's not like, oh, I'm sinning, oh, I'm a bad person. It's like, well, what is it about that I'm not aligning to? And so then I can assess it, I can look at it, I can ponder it, and then I can rewrite it if it's not correct, so that I'm always following what is ethically, morally, integrously truth for me. Right? And they help me align with my truth, as well as this greater truth, which I don't actually know the fullness of the greater truth, but I know I'm a part of it, right? I know even if I'm just a speck of a speck in the whole of the cosmos, I'm still a little speck of a speck within the whole of the cosmos. And so bringing this kind of intentionality to my life, to my walk, allows for my heart to be light as a feather. Because when I'm not being light, when my heart starts getting heavy, then I get to assess that. So unlike the negative confessions that declare what you did not do, instead you dedicate yourselves to what you will do moving forward in your life. So I encourage you all to take time to ponder what is important to you. And it's actually quite a process. 42 of them is a lot. And I'm like, oh my goodness, can I think of 42 things that are important? And I could have probably done 84 of them if I gave myself, maybe I'll do another 42. Anyway, so I encourage you to do this, right? And then at that moment when the veils open and it's our turn to pass through, which every single one of us will, Ma'at is life and death. We're born unto the world and we die from the world. So once we have that, we've lived a good life, right? There's no question then if those 42 assessors are before us, I can say I was a good person. My heart is light. Just checking our time here. So with that, all that I've just said, I want to take us on a little journey. And here, this is a papyrus, a little snippet of a papyrus Well, it was in the Egyptian museum in Cairo, the old one, but with all the moving in the new museum that's opening, I don't know where it is now. I don't think it's probably still on the walls there, so I'll have to go searching for it. I'll just explain a little bit of what you're looking at here. So here you have Maat. She's standing at the front of the sun barge. Now, the sun is seen in 3 different aspects, and this is the morning sun. Kefra represents the morning sun, when the sun is being rolled up into the sky, sort of like Kefra is rolling that dung of preciousness that has the eggs of creation, you know, rolling it up into the sky. And Maat guides the boat to make sure that they navigate through the chaos, right? Kefra Re turns into Re, the fullness, the bright noon sun, and then Amun Ra or Amun Re when the sun dips below the horizon and it's the unseen sun. So we have all the aspects of creation, or of the light, the morning light, the high noon light, and then the light that is not seen. So I want to invite you to just sink in a little bit. Feel yourself in your space. Feel yourself in your body. Feel yourself in your truth, knowing that your truth is but a fraction of the truth. Right? Even on this planet alone, there's 7+ billion humans. There's, you know, that to a power of probably 100 ants on the planet, right? And each little ant that scurries about, it has its truth, right? Every tree that grows and plant that sends out its vines or its flowers, it has a truth. All the elementals have their truths. Even this virus that we've been walking with and struggling with and having challenged with in our world in the last year and some time, it has its truth. The wildfires that come through and are so damaging to our world, our human world, it has its truth. And just take all of that in, knowing that truth is so much more than what any of us can really ever understand. And from that place, I invite you to take a deep breath into your heart center. Just notice if it's easy to take a deep breath, if it's challenging. No judgment, no expectation, just notice. Just allow. My little dog Daisy is laying next to me here, and she just took a deep breath. So she's here with us as well, with her little Daisy truth. Hopefully no squirrels will come along and she'll keep quiet during this. Did you hear that, Daisy? Yeah, good girl. Now as you breathe into your heart center, notice if your heart is heavy with challenges, with pains, with grief, heartache. Notice that there is still space, even if you feel that your heart, your ob, is full right now. Just recognize that fullness. And imagine or envision a light within.
Walter, we gotta go to Pasadena, man. Come meet me out for a bowling date.
And a little extra soundtrack to boot. Just notice that flame, that light. Notice if it's bright or dim. Notice if it's like a candle on a beeswax candle, or if it's like a fire in a hearth, or if it's like a sun blazing in the cosmos. And notice that light now shine itself into your heart center, into your ob, revealing what is inside. Again, no judgment, no guilt, no shame, just noticing. Now bring into your presence love. Not the love like I love Daisy because I do, or I love ice cream, I do. But the transcendent love, the love that is more than the desire love, the love that is that animating force within you. And begin to pour that love upon your heart flame. And notice how it grows brighter and lighter. Notice how as that heart flame grows lighter and brighter, anything in your heart that is not necessary, that doesn't belong to you, that is not serving you, begins to burn away. And now, imagine yourself standing upon the bank of the River Nile. And there, docked to its side, is a boat. And upon the boat stands Maat, the feather upon her head, which ruffles in the wind that moves down that Nile valley. She invites you aboard, for she has some place to take you. Notice when you step upon that boat that it shifts with your weight, and for a moment you have to really concentrate to find your balance, to steady the boat so it doesn't rock any longer. But soon you do find that balance. You feel that surety of your feet under you, the surety of the hull of the boat in the water holding you, the surety of the land holding the river as it snakes through the desert. Soon the boat leaves the shore and begins to flow with the current towards the north. And as it flows north, you notice the palms, the date palms, you notice the mango trees, you notice the agriculture, you notice the water buffalo, the donkeys, you notice the birds of so many feathers. You notice the life and the natural order of things. Just allow the boat to carry you through this landscape. It could be 5,000 years ago, could be yesterday, could be tomorrow, for it looks the same. Soon, the boat comes to a stop at a stone rampart, and Maat leads you from the boat up the ramp, this ramp that's an angle that leads to a flat surface. And there upon the flat, you face Maat. And she asks you to raise your arms to the side with your palms facing the heavens. And in this stance, you feel the balance of things. Perhaps one arm goes down and the other goes up. Sometimes life is like this, the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs. But within this posture, she directs your attention to the fact that your arms come out from where your heart is. And so there's this horizontal and this vertical axis that you are. The vertical axis of your feet on the ground and your head to the heavens is solid and upright. And regardless of whether the horizontal axis is up or down, this or that, you notice that where they cross is in your heart center. Feel this truth. Sometimes things are easy, sometimes they're hard. Sometimes there's joy, sometimes there's grief. Sometimes there's this, sometimes there's that. The ebbs and the flows of day-to-day life shift and change, but the vertical axis remains the same. And notice now, as any of that heaviness in your heart that does not serve you, that did not burn away, suddenly you feel it dissipating and falling to this beastie that is there with you, this crocodile, lioness, hippo. And anything that doesn't serve you within your heart, you begin to feed her. In fact, you take your this vase of your spiritual heart, and you pour it down to her so that she can gobble up all that does not serve you that is left within that space. So that now when you look into your heart center, into the it is empty and it is light and it is filled with light. Now, place your your spiritual heart, back to nestle around your physical heart, and feel how your arms now are balanced. And look to Maat, who stands here in front of you. And she has a message to give you. Something about your truth. Receive this message, this knowing, this gift of Maat. And if you are so called, repeat these words after me. In Maat, I trust. As Maat, I act. With Maat, I live. To Maat, I return. And so it is. And so it is that your heart is as light as a feather. When you're ready, wiggle your toes, wiggle your nose, your fingers, and open your eyes if they were shut to arrive into this time and space that we share. Whether in this moment of recording, this time on the May 22nd, whatever time it is on the planet, we are all here right now. And I just want to direct your attention to the last image that I have for you here. There's Maat, and the heart is lighter than the feather, and the 42 assessors are holding space with Sekhmet and Thoth and the river and the sky and the land and the fire within. Thank you for this moment and a few extra minutes here. I apologize for going beyond. I hope this serves you and your life and your finding of truth and your understanding of who Maat is. Thank you.